Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a licensed and nationally certified East Asian medical provider. Today, I wanted to share some information with you on the trigram water. Hopefully, this gives you more information to think about when you're working with the trigram water in the I Ching, when you're working with water in 5 elements, or when you're working with water in yourself. When you're looking at this trigram, one of the first things you might notice is that it is yang within yin. So all potential sits within water. And there's this incredible adaptability in water. Its adaptability can be seen in the multiple states. It can be ice, it can be water, it can be gas. It can take on different forms like a river, a lake, an ocean, a waterfall. So let me share a little bit with you of the Shanggong, and this helps define who water is. So what it says is water is the most humble substance. It adapts to everything, never asserting its own will, and yet, over time, all things succumb to it. Though they have power, they are in fact the ultimate servants, ensuring the basic rights and needs of everyone. And the other thing that water does, which is really unique, is its ability to adapt to the environment. So if it's winter, it can change into snow or ice. In the summer, it's going to evaporate in the heat, and then it can consolidate back into rain to feed the earth. Even though it's this adaptable and flexible and that it changes with its environment, it never changes its basic nature. Water is considered the epitome of virtue and the epitome of love, kindness, and compassion. So that's just a little bit of information on who water is. So let's look at this from another perspective. Let's look at this trigram as it relates to the Bagua, so the 8 trigrams. And when you look at the Bagua, there's 2 sequences. There's the pre-heaven sequence. We talk a lot about that pre-heaven sequence in East Asian medicine because we talk about yin and yang, that opposite polarity is what creates life. And so think about the energetics of a magnet, how the yin and yang repel each other and create movement. Without the yin and yang, without that pull on each other, there would be no movement. And if you don't have movement, then you're dead. So I will put a link to one of my yin yang episodes, which talks about the yin yang and the creation of humanity. For this, we're going to talk about the post-heaven sequence, which is where water and fire sit on the vertical. Most of the time, we're looking at the post-heaven sequence because that's the period of time that happens after birth. The pre-heaven sequence is before birth. So I'm going to give you an easy cheat to identify if you're looking at the pre-heaven sequence Bagua or the post-heaven sequence Bagua. So the Bagua, it's the 8 trigrams in a circle. The post-heaven sequence will have water and fire on the vertical. So this vertical line, it's going to be water and fire. On the pre-heaven sequence, so that sequence before birth, guess what's on the vertical line there? It's going to be yin and yang, right? Which, from a Taoist perspective, you start with the Tao, and the first thing that happens is you sort into yin and yang, and from yin and yang, you have all things are possible. Okay, so then let's go back to the post-heaven sequence, and here you see that you have water in the north and fire in the south. when we're looking at the Bagua, the post-heaven, so the afterbirth sequence of the Bagua, we're looking at space. So each of these different trigrams represents a position in space, with the water representing north and fire representing south. So this represents your place in space. Let's look a little bit at the I Ching and the trigram water in the I Ching. When we look at water in the I Ching, water has a tendency to represent danger. And in ancient China, I believe why it represented danger was because of the big rivers that they had, like the Yangtze River. It always flooded in the spring. And so that flooding would cause death. It's not that we don't have that today. Water is again becoming really dangerous, right? This day that we actually got on the ferry, most of the ferries were canceled because the water was so rough. I think we just lucked out. Today, it seems the danger of water is coming back. I haven't seen the types of flooding and storms that we have today. I definitely didn't see them when we were growing up. If you had introduced yourself to the I Ching through the original English translations that we had, which would have been Richard Wilhelm and William Baines. Now, these books, they didn't work for me. I thought they were really complicated and convoluted. So one of the things that they would always have is they'd always have direction in there. And it would say something like, danger to the north or enemies from the north. And before the last 5 years, we really didn't have that type of danger with water. So it just didn't make any sense to me. Now, if I read that, I might go, oh, are we going to have storms in the north? Or something along those lines. Or maybe look at how this fits into my astrology chart, or look at how it fits into my feng shui chart. But either way, for a long time, I really didn't put as much weight on danger with water, because water wasn't as dangerous to us until recently. Okay, so there's some ideas on water in East Asian medicine. You get an idea of who that person is from a personality perspective: kindness, compassion, love, just a really gentle, patient soul. You get some ideas on what that means from a feng shui perspective, the pre-heaven Bagua and the post-heaven Bagua. And I hope that cheat helps you. I really had a hard time defining pre-heaven from post-heaven. It took me a little bit of effort to figure out what I was looking at and what it meant. And then lastly, if you're starting to study the I Ching, there's some ideas on why the translations are always saying that water is so dangerous. Okay, until next time, I will catch you on the other side.